Governor of the state, Mr. Nyesom Wike. According to Mr. Ehie, the problem in Rivers State began when a few political leaders sought exclusive control of the resources of the state. He was speaking at a Thanksgiving service for the Supreme Court victory of the governor in Ahoda East in the state, where he also warned that Governor Fubara is capable of teaching his opponents a political lesson.
It's celebration time in Ahoda East local government area of Rivers State as people from all walks of life gather to celebrate Governor Siminalayi Fubara's recent victory at the Supreme Court. The Thanksgiving held at Western County High School, Ahoda, begins with a choir performance followed by a sermon urging Governor Fubara to remain dedicated to serving the people.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost.
After the church service, politics takes center stage with community leaders, women, youth groups, and loyalists from the 13 political wards dancing in support of Governor Fubara. Federal lawmakers at the event commend the mobilization in Ahoda East.
We are so happy that coming to Ahoda, we are seeing that you people love the governor. They said we did not have structure. Who are the structure? Who are the structure? Can anybody take you to anywhere else? Let Nigerians see for themselves. Those that were bragging that they have structure. Are you not the structure? Are you not organic?
State lawmakers backing Governor Fubara, led by their newly elected Speaker, Victor Ukojambo, pledged their support for his success.
Under our leadership in the 10th Assembly, we will use the instrumentation of legislation to support Siminalayi Fubara's administration for rapid development in Rivers State. We will ensure that the interest of the people is put first before any other interest. We will ensure that we protect us and we guide democracy in Rivers State. Thank you very much and God bless you.
Speaking on behalf of Governor Fubara, his Chief of Staff, Edison Ehie, alludes to the political tensions between him and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike.
The problem we have in the state is that 11 persons said they will control the resources of Rivers State. Una agree? Una agree? These 11 persons now called another 20-something persons and said, Urenka, Chika, take this one. I don't collect my own. Una agree? And we have told them, you can be 20-something, but Rivers people, we are in our millions. Not so?
He warns that despite Fubara's youthful age, he has the capacity to teach his opponents a political lesson.
You look at the governor of Rivers State, the economic power of Nigeria, and you call that governor a small ball. You look at the governor and you say it's a small ball. The governor that has the power from heaven and earth. What that small boy will do to you? What that small boy will do to you?
The highlight of the celebration is the presentation of 200,000 naira each to 65 small-scale business owners, as well as 500,000 naira to each of the 13 coordinators of the simplified movement by the Chief of Staff. Governor Fubara's supporters see the celebration in Ahoda East as a significant political statement, which highlights Fubara's growing influence and popularity in the area.
Meanwhile, a former commissioner for works in the cabinet of Governor Siminalayi Fubara has opened up on the controversy surrounding some projects executed during his tenure. Mr. George Kelly Alabo, who is now the Director General of the Border Community Development Agencies, also touched on the current political crisis in the state, criticizing the governor's handling of the situation. He spoke to journalists in Port Harcourt, the River State capital.
We're all there. Resolutions were reached, agreements were signed. The president handed over the paper to the former governor, Dr. Peter Odili, to read. He read them out. Have these other parties done their part? Yes. Have these other parties done their part? Partially. That is the issue. That's why the issue is lingering. Part of the resolution was that the budget should be represented to the correct House of Assembly. Was that done up till now? No. So if there's no appropriation, if there's no budget, how are you spending? That's my worry. How can I serve in that kind of government? I'll be picked up one day because you have immunity. I'm approving projects and signing award letters without appropriation, which is a breach of the appropriation law and the procurement law. I don't have immunity, so I can be picked. Probably that could have been one of the reasons for my resignation. Today, tomorrow, next tomorrow, my loyalty lies irreversibly with Chief Barrister Nyesom Ezenwo Wike. Let me tell you something. We must not forget about those that helped us to climb. We must not. The governor, for instance, would have been a level 14 civil servant in the Ministry of Finance, if not for Wike that made him a DFA, a permanent secretary, an accountant general, and then a governor today.
And staying with the political crisis in River State, some residents of Port Harcourt are asking the judiciary to expedite judgment on the cases related to the issue, especially regarding the legitimacy of the 25 State Assembly legislators who defected to another party. They believe such judgment will bring clarity and peace to the volatile political situation, which they say is currently hampering the development of the state. Our correspondent Deborah Agbalama reports.
All is currently not well with the political atmosphere in River State in the face of tensions stemming from events such as the impeachment attempt on Governor Siminalayi Fubara over 7 months ago and factional disputes within the State Assembly.
As you can see, this is where the governor and his team, they broke the gates. This is the point, this is the hinge you see.
These have left numerous issues unresolved, including the eligibility of the legislators who defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress, disputes over legislative actions, and recent attempt to resume impeachment proceedings against the governor. Despite efforts to broker peace, recent developments such as the election of a new speaker by pro-Fubara lawmakers in the Assembly and ensuing legal motions indicate continued instability. How do Rivers people perceive this development that has lasted over 7 months?
It is unfortunate that two very important arms of government in the state are engaged in this bitter war that leaves the states in a very uncertain situation. Obviously, if the legislature cannot function effectively, it means that good governance, peace, and order will also suffer.
A legal practitioner, Agogo Bako, wants the judiciary to speed up action on pending matters related to the crisis to bring closure to the disputes.
Unfortunately, it's the second time we're experiencing something like this. The first time it affected us directly as lawyers because a lot of our colleagues actually left Port Harcourt. At this stage, it is my view that it's now the bulk is on the court at the moment, especially with this stage where there are different legislative factions. Nobody knows what is right or wrong. Nobody knows which is legal or illegal. It's only the court that can actually decide on that.
The political tussle also appears to be impacting the business environment.
Basically, no business thrives under an atmosphere of rancor and hostilities. Considering the unstable nature of the crisis between the legislative and the executive arm of the government, it has affected business, the environment, and the activities a great deal.
Following the rising tension, there have been several calls on the Inspector General of Police to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order in Rivers State. The Rivers State Police Commissioner, Olatunji Disu, is allaying the fears of citizens.
So far, so good. There's nothing that calls for any serious concern. The men have been posted around. We have men on patrol, and the necessary deployment has been made in town.
As the political tussle continues, many residents are of the belief that good governance cannot thrive in chaos and are calling on all parties to sheath their swords and uphold their promise of putting Rivers people first. From Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, Deborah Balama, Channels Television News.
Now let's hear more from the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State, Mr. Olatunji Disu, who's been making clarifications regarding police presence at the Rivers State House of Assembly quarters. In an interview with Channels Television, Mr. Disu explained that the police deployment to the Assembly residential area is not a takeover, as being speculated, but a proactive measure to prevent any potential breach of law and order. Regarding the interim court order restraining pro-Wike lawmakers from accessing the Assembly quarters, the CP said that the command is yet to receive any official notification of the court order.
It's in the news too that the police have taken over the House of Assembly complex or the quarters. That is not true. All we did was send policemen on patrol to stay around and ensure that we maintain peace, which has been our duty. And for your information, we have had police officers deployed to the Assembly complex before. So all we are doing is to prevent breakdown of law and order. Assembly complex has not been taken over by the police. I have not gotten anything official. So when the time comes, we'll take the next reaction. So far, so good. There's nothing that calls for any serious concern. The men have been posted around. We have men on patrol, and the necessary deployment has been made in town.
Now we continue with other stories. In Enugu State, the police command says that 2 police operatives have been killed by armed hoodlums suspected to be members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra IPOB. In a statement, the police public relations officer, DSP Daniel Ndukwe, explained that the operatives were conducting routine stop and search along Presidential Road in Enugu when they suddenly came under attack by men who operated in 3 SUVs. They also added that the Commissioner of Police has ordered the massive deployment of the command's operational, tactical, and intelligence resources to hunt down the criminals.
This bestial and cold-blooded action cannot be condoned in Enugu State. Those who murder our policemen, or indeed our security, any member of our security agencies, may think or assume that they have triumphed in their evil act. Let me inform them that we're going to come after them with everything we have. We're going to deploy all the necessary technology, all the necessary forces within our powers to track them, capture them, and defeat them. Enugu State, and indeed with the support of the security agencies, we're going to make life uncomfortable for those who do not want to live in decent society.
As the fight against crude oil theft continues, the Joint Task Force Operation Delta Safe says that it has destroyed over 40 illegal refining sites in Okwa Forest in Okwa West local government area of Abia State. The JTF embarked on the mission from its operational headquarters in Bayelsa State to Abia through the Imo River. The commander of the Joint Military Force, Rear Admiral John Okeke, who led the operation, says that over 40 sites operating in that area were refining stolen crude oil.
It is surprising to note that within here we have over 17 divisions according to their naming. Each of these divisions houses over 40 cooking sites. Today, we've been able to traverse 40 of such sites. Of course, behind me, you could see the one that is ongoing. The construction is ongoing, far larger than 2 trucks. You can imagine the quantity of the products they would have stolen and refined here. So I want to say today, we are not going to relent. For those of you who do not want to abide with the extant regulation in peddling petroleum products, I will advise you to relocate once again, because we'll come for you. If you like, you can be anywhere. It's a matter of time. We will get to you. This war against oil theft cannot be done by the military alone and other components of Nigerian police, civil defense, the DIA, SSS, immigration, customs, and all of us. It cannot be done by uniform government security agencies. We need your support, Nigerians. We need to rid off this, our joint operational area of these criminals.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Navy is giving assurances of its readiness to secure the nation's waterways, especially through collaboration with the navies of other countries to improve operational capabilities. The officer in Tactical Command, Rear Admiral Nnamdi Ekom, gave this assurance during the flag-off of the Navy's exercise Obangame Express at Onne in Rivers State. And this is coming as journalists were conducted round the illegal refining site discovered by the Navy in Andoni local government area of the state. Our correspondent Charles Operum reports.
It's a convivial atmosphere, aided by the gentle sea breeze of the Nigerian Navy ship Kada at the naval wing of the Onne port in Rivers State, as top military officers await the arrival of the special guest of honor, the Chief of Naval Staff and his entourage. Also aboard the flight deck of the NNS Kada is a combat helicopter to be deployed for exercise Obangame Express. The event soon gets underway after the arrival of the representative of the Chief of the Naval Staff and the officer in Tactical Command, who in his welcome remarks explains the motive and objective of the exercise.
Obangame Express is therefore a multi-phased annual exercise that is primarily aimed at enhancing and, of course, bolstering the collective efforts of regional navies in the Gulf of Guinea in the fight against maritime crime.
Interacting with journalists on the sidelines of the event, Rear Admiral Ferreira lauds the Navy's commitment to securing the maritime environment.
Maritime security operations involve a wide range of activities that we conduct at sea, and this include anti-crude oil theft, anti-IUU fishing, anti-piracy, anti-sea robbery operations, and a host of other activities which make us a Navy.
Elsewhere, the commanding officer of the Forward Operations Base, Bonny, conducts journalists round an illegal refining site discovered by his operatives in Andoni local government area of Rivers State.
The Forward Operating Base, Bonny, found this illegal refining site, which has about 16 cooking pots and 14 storage areas, the largest that we've come across in recent times. The ongoing onslaught by the base as a result of the strategic directive from the Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ikechukwu Ogala, for all bases to confront this menace and bring it to a stop. As a result of that, we've been conducting operations to dislocate all activities carried out by the crude oil thieves.
Currently, officers of the Navy are involved in multiple operations designed to safeguard Nigeria's maritime security and improve crude oil production. Charles Operum, Channels Television News.
The Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, has described soldiers who have lost their lives in Nigeria's military operations as brave souls. He made the remark at the special reception organized in honor of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex by the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. Prince Harry also expressed gladness for the effort by the military to build a rehabilitation center for the injured soldiers. At a separate event, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, joined the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, in a panel discussion on women in leadership on day 2 of the couple's trip to Nigeria. Our correspondent Gloria Umezoke reports.
The second day of the visit of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in Nigeria gets underway with this reception with military families organized by the military leadership to promote the Invictus Games in Nigeria. Nigeria first participated in the Games in 2023, and the Nigerian government is glad to be participating in the competition.
The recovery and rehabilitation. In this pursuit, we are eager to collaborate closely with the Invictus Game Foundation to extend this vision to all formations within the armed forces of Nigeria.
In the Northeast, while discharging my duty,
the reception offers some of the participants of the Invictus Games an opportunity to speak on the experience.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lance of Aviation at Zamfara. I'm a new
The Duke is glad to see efforts to rehabilitate injured soldiers.
What this reminded me of is the power of seeing what is possible post-injury. These individuals witnessed it themselves, and they came back to have new operations, but they knew that their life was not going to be defined by the injuries of the past. And that is what this is all about. That is what this new centre that you're building is going to be all about as well.
They were later presented traditional attires. At a separate event, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, accompanied by the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, arrives to meet a convergence of women in leadership in a dialogue.
We're both doing blue today, and we didn't know that.
The event kickstarts with a panel session.
So here we are, engaging in... Now, you found out recently that you are partly Nigerian.
I did, yes.
Following her podcast revelation as being 43% Nigerian, the women found it imperative to first give the royal a Nigerian name.
I'm gonna have to give her a Nigerian name, right? So let's start thinking about what that name is going to be.
Thank you very much for just how gracious you've all been in welcoming my husband and I to this country. My country.
Your country, yes.
The 42-year-old Duchess of Sussex reveals again how her maiden visit to Nigeria, where she has ties, takes on an added meaning for her.
What has been echoed so much, really, in the past day by men and women alike is, oh, we weren't surprised when we found out when you were a Nigerian. Oh, no. And I say that mostly as a compliment to all of you, because what they define as a Nigerian woman is brave, resilient, courageous, powerful, beautiful. And every single moment that I hear anyone so far talk about what it means to be a Nigerian woman, it is the most flattering thing to be in that company, to be in your company.
In the engaging session, both women speak on women taking up leadership roles with support from men and women alike.
Unless we're able to convince the men that sometimes they need to mentor, they need to boost, but they also need to give way. But women, when you can, please mentor other women. It's not always the case that women are always supportive. Let's also be honest with ourselves. You know, I've also had women who were not necessarily supportive of me.
Oftentimes when women reach the peak of success, they leave. But you need to come back home. You need to at least be a familiar face for the next generation to say, oh, she looks like me, and I can be that. And I think that is a really key piece in all of it, where success isn't defined by, oh, you've gotten out, you've gone somewhere else. It's defined by, and you still always want to come back home.
The couple is expected to continue their visits to Nigeria in Lagos on Sunday.
Who is this guy?
It has been a most remarkable dialogue of women in leadership as the host underpins the importance of women supporting each other and investing in each other. The hosts are hoping that this conversation resonates even after their departure, such that would strengthen the socio-economic empowerment of women in the country. From Abuja, Gloria Umezoke, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission stops dollar transactions at foreign embassies in a move to de-dollarize the economy. And that's on Business News. Please join us again. Ongoing move by a group of individuals claiming to be agents of peace accord initiated by the federal government to negotiate with bandits with a view to addressing the security challenges in the state. In a statement, the state government describes the step as illegal and against the wishes of the state and the people. The statement also notes that Governor Dauda Lawal has said repeatedly that his government has no plans to negotiate or support any peace accord with bandits operating in Zamfara. It adds that the current move is politically motivated and aimed at demoralizing the plans and commitments of the government in fighting banditry and other criminal activities in Zamfara state. As part of steps to improve governance in the country, the Oba Adetono School of Governance Studies, located at the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye, Enugu State, has been inaugurated. And to ensure effective management of this institution, the President has asked the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Kuru Jos to take over its running and its management. And this was made known by Vice President Kashim Shettima, who represented President Bola Tinubu at that event, where he also announced the conferment of the nation's second highest honor of the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger on the Awujale and paramount ruler of Ijebuland, Obasikiru Adetono, for his selfless leadership. The School of Governance Studies, initiated by the Awujale and paramount ruler of Ijebuland, Sikiru Kayode Adetono, located at the Olabisi Onabanjo University, is an imposing edifice established in the year 2020 to provide a sustainable platform for enhancing good governance in Nigeria in particular and sub-Saharan Africa. The event attracted the presence of the Vice President Kashim Shettima, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, governors of Ogun and Osun states, former governors of Ogun and Kaduna State, members of the National Assembly, as well as the Chief of Staff to President Bola Tinubu, Femi Gbajabiamila. Others include the Ogbeni Oja of Ijebuland, Sonny Kuku, traditional rulers, leaders of thought, senior lawyers, among other distinguished personalities from far and near. The Vice-Chancellor of Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye, shared his thoughts about the importance of the project.
I want to assure you that the university will pursue the vision and mission of the School of Governance Studies vigorously, so that it will be a center of excellence dedicated to the entrenchment of good governance and effective leadership in Nigeria and other nations in sub-Saharan Africa.
Delivering the 2024 annual professorial chair in governance lecture on changing Nigeria's governance narrative, Professor Akinshola Agago decried the prevailing corruption in the land as he called for the independence of the judiciary and the development of a new mindset.
Despite the parlous state of a governance narrative in Nigeria, there is hope. My position is that good governance can be achieved when we have appropriate knowledge of what to be done and we have the right mindset to carry it out. The Renew Hope agenda offers some strengths and opportunities that can be harnessed if it can be translated into good policies that are well implemented.
The governor of Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun, praised the paramount ruler of Ijebuland for providing for his people.
This initiative was a precursor to the establishment of this world-class Obasikiru Adetono School of Governance, the first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa. This institution is set to cultivate a new generation of leaders equipped with necessary skills to excel in political, diplomatic, and community leadership.
In recognition of his service to humanity and philanthropic gestures, the federal government announced the conferment of the second highest national honor in the country on the traditional ruler who turned 90 on May the 10th, 2024.
Because Kabiyesi Oba Adetona has honored our country and humanity with his many years of meritorious service, I therefore, on this special occasion of his 90th birthday ceremony, confer on Oba Adetona the second highest national honor of Grand Commander of the Order of Nigeria.
The high point of the event was the cutting of the birthday cake supervised by former President Olusegun Obasanjo, joined by other dignitaries, and the commissioning of the School of Governance Studies by the Vice President and other dignitaries. The founder of the Afe Babalola University in Ado-Ekiti, Abuad, Are Afe Babalola, has expressed worry over the effects of economic hardship on lawyers in Nigeria. The senior advocate of Nigeria said this at the 13th edition of the annual Are Afe Babalola Public Bar Lecture, organized in his honor by the Ado-Ekiti branch of the Nigerian Bar Association in the state capital.
The 13th edition of the annual Are Afe Babalola Public Lecture brings together dignitaries including the chairman, Nigeria Bar Association, Ekiti State Chapter, the provost, College of Law, Professor Tunde Yebisi, while lecturers and law students of the Afe Babalola University are also not left out.
That is no lesson for being here this morning.
Setting the tone for the event, the legal luminary, Barrister Afe Babalola, bemoaned the fate of lawyers amid the prevailing economic conditions.
As a lawyer, I remember how easy it was to make money. I know what we are going through days. In our days, it was common ground to charge any litigant 2 guineas. I don't know whether you know what that means now. For consulting you, 2 guineas means 2 pounds and 2 shillings. No, virtually only few lawyers do that now because of the economy. And since we rely mostly on agriculture in this part of the world, I do not know how I can ask to continue this annual lecture.
The need for critical reforms to change the outlook of the judiciary formed the crux of the lecture titled The Judiciary, Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow, delivered by Professor Tunde Yebisi. Professor Yebisi, among other things, frowned on the undue interference of judicial processes by public officers.
Every time the rule of law is upheld, especially in a sensational case which affects the liberty of the subject, the court is commended in a rather controversial language of living up to expectations. I hope you understand when somebody tells you are living up to expectations. Because for the first time, you have decided probably to disagree with those who have been paying. Normally, what they expect you to do is to pander towards the power that be and do their bidding. That is the way the public looks at the judiciary. Sometimes the extolment is in the form of this loaded phrase, usually cynically employed by the press, that he has redeemed the good name of the judiciary.
The NBA has been commended for its far-sightedness in instituting the annual lecture in honor of the legal luminary, Are Afe Babalola, who has been described as a leading light in the nation's legal field.
To health matters now, the Delta State's Traditional Rulers Council has lauded the Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC, for its ongoing free healthcare medical mission across the 9 states of the oil-rich region. The traditional rulers say the program has attended to various medical conditions, especially the less privileged and vulnerable who lack the financial capacity to cater for their medical needs. The first vice chairman of the council gave the commendation during the official flag-off of the week-long NDDC free healthcare program in Ughelli South local government area of Delta State.
In continuation of its ongoing free healthcare medical mission across the Niger Delta region, the Niger Delta Development Commission's medical team is at Otu Jeremy General Hospital in Ughelli South local government area of Delta State. At this center, several healthcare services have been rendered, including fibroid and eye surgeries, general health issues, among others.
It has made impacts in Delta Central and other parts of Delta State because it's a cosmopolitan community, the headquarters of the local government area, and so there are other natives that are also here and that are equally benefited from this medical program.
Beneficiaries commend the Commission for their intervention.
We are grateful for NDDC because for the past 5 days, we have hundreds of people with different health challenges. But we thank God for such an opportunity that came out to relieve the people of the Niger Delta.
I've been suffering from fibroids for years now. I've gone to different hospitals. The money they called for me was too much. So I just buy drugs to suppress it until I heard about this free treatment.
They've done the surgery and it was successful. They gave me free drugs, everything free. I didn't pay for anything at all.
Speaking through the Director, Education, Health and Social Services, the NDDC Managing Director, Samuel Ogboku, says the program has recorded successes as in the 2 states earlier visited.
The turnout has been very massive and it's just stories of success. We've had 48 myomectomies in 3 days, 48. You know, that tells you about the demographics concerning the disease pattern here. And maybe that will call for our researchers to find out why we have so many fibroids in this area.
Responding to calls for extension of the program, the Commission says it is working on a more sustainable health program for residents of the region.
NDDC is currently working on a more sustainable program, access to healthcare, universal health coverage. We have, if you look around, we have a team of people who are registering the vulnerable people at the moment, so that when we leave after these short-term interventions, those people will be given cards and they can have access to healthcare in any of the hospitals where they are, in their locality.
The Commission says so far, over 6,000 persons have benefited from the program, and next location on its agenda is Edo State.
To aviation matters now, the Nigerian Safety Investigation Board, NSIB, says that it is investigating an incident involving an aircraft belonging to ExeJet airline, which skidded off the runway at the domestic wing of the Murtala Mohammed Airport earlier today. The aircraft, with registration number 5 NBZZ, arrived in Lagos from Abuja and had about 52 persons on board. Meanwhile, Dana Air has announced its decision to temporarily disengage some members of its staff, and this is coming on the heels of its recent grounding and an ongoing audit by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. A statement issued by the airline in Lagos explains that the audit is a collaborative effort between Dana Air and the authorities to ensure compliance with all necessary standards and regulations. The airline adds that it is also preparing a restart plan that will ensure the safe and efficient resumption of operations when the audit is completed. The Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Olawale Edun, has visited the Jet Motor Company assembly plant in Lagos, where compressed natural gas (CNG) buses are being assembled under the presidential CNG initiative. Located in Lagos, the company is one of the 4 designated assembly plants selected by the PCNGI to assemble semi-knocked-down components of climate-friendly CNG and electric buses and tricycles, which will soon be rolled out to slash transportation costs. After going ground of the plant, the minister expressed satisfaction with the progress of work at the plant.
About the CNG initiative, the presidential initiative on compressed natural gas, is that it has taken time. We've all gone around and we have seen that these are not purchases of finished goods or finished products. It is assembly. So at the same time as helping the inflationary effect, reducing the price of fare, well, at the end of the day, reducing transport costs to the average Nigerian. As well as that, it's also helping to grow the economy. So it's 2 critical aims are being achieved. And what is important is that I've come to see what is happening with the CNG initiative. Where are the buses, as Nigerians are asking? And I've seen for myself, I've driven them, I've tested them, and I've seen them being assembled. And of course, in the very near future, they'll begin to be rolled out, and the benefit will be available to all Nigerians.
Let's delve into the world of business. Will Ibong is standing by.
Thank you, Anne, and welcome to Business News. Now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has halted dollar transactions at foreign embassies in the country, mandating the use of the naira for all official dealings. This measure, aimed at bolstering the naira, comes as the EFCC advises the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to enforce the directive. Sources within the EFCC have confirmed the move, emphasizing its role in strengthening the local currency. The Commission's efforts underscores a broader push to regulate currency transactions within the country's diplomatic missions. Meanwhile, Nigeria's FX reserves have recorded further increase as it climbed to a 3-week high this week. Data from the central bank shows that gross reserves rose by $89.76 million to $32.39 billion as of May the 8th. Data also shows that there was no inflows from the CBN during the week, and foreign participation in domestic capital markets remains subdued. Looking ahead, analysts say FX liquidity is expected to remain tight, resulting in sustained pressure on the naira in the short term. Now, Forex market trading activity at the FMDQ exchange closed negative this week as the total turnover of transactions carried out at the FX spot, forwards and futures markets fell by 30.78% to close at $795.58 million. A look at the breakdown. Total value of transactions at FX spot market dipped by 32.81% to $768.83 million, while transactions at the FX derivatives market jumped by 435% to $26.75 million. Meanwhile, the value of the naira fell by 2.75% to 1,420 naira 79 kobo against the dollar at the official NAFEX window. The exchange rate has now weakened by a significant 26.8% since reaching its strongest point of 1,072 naira to a dollar in April, when it was declared the best performing currency. Now, the domestic stock market ended the second trading week of May in the red as profit-taking on mostly banking stocks continued to take toll on equities' overall performance at the NGX. As a result, we see the market's main index fell by 1.36%, bringing the month and year-to-date performance to 0.01% and 31.37% accordingly. Sectoral performance was also mostly negative. Industrial goods was the lone gainer, while the other indexes declined. Tantalizers PLC led a pack of gainers with a 27.78% price appreciation. PZ Cussons Nigeria PLC topped the list of losers with a 19.57% loss, while the trio of UBA, Nigerian Breweries, and Access Holdings were the top three most actively traded stock for the week. Now it's over to Victoria Longjan for sports news. Stay tuned. Thank you, Will. In the exciting world of sports, Prince Harry joined Nigerian athletes on the court for an exhibition game of sit-in volleyball in Abuja, the country's capital. Prince Harry and Meghan are in Nigeria for 3 days after being invited by the Chief of Defense Staff and also to promote the Invictus Games, which stages sporting events for wounded, sick or injured veterans and serving military personnel. The Duke of Sussex took part in the training session with the injured servicemen, while Meghan took photos with children who turned up to see the royals.
Using sport through rehabilitation is so important. You get these guys, if they do get injured, you get them into the hospital, you get them fixed up, and you get them straight into the Invictus team. Yeah. First, we have to try and enlarge the program here. CDS and I have had many conversations, so that's going to be possible. But also having a domestic-style games here in Nigeria, like the Americans do. So to be able to have Army versus Navy versus Air Force, Special Forces, everybody. So you have a trial period, and then the team from that then gets sent to the Invictus Games. So you can do that now.
Yes,
right? That is what needs to happen. Yes. And then the morale will change.
From volleyball now to tennis, where 22 Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal has been knocked out of the Italian Open by world number 9 Hubert Hurkacz. In what is likely to be the Spaniard's final appearance in Rome, Nadal was comfortably beaten 6-1, 6-3 by the big serving pole in just 93 minutes. Nadal, a 10-time winner in the Italian capital, has indicated that 2024 is likely to be his final season before retirement. And Joško Vardiol scored twice as Manchester City put the pressure on Arsenal in the title race by beating Fulham 4-0 to move 2 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Elsewhere, Brentford beat Bournemouth 2-1, while Everton beat relegated Sheffield United 1-0. Elsewhere, Newcastle played a 1-1 draw with Brighton, while Tottenham defeated Burnley 2-1 as the Clarets relegate to the Championship. Luton Town are on the brink of relegation from the Premier League after West Ham came from behind to beat them 3-1, while Crystal Palace also defeated Wolves 3-1. In the last game of the day, Chelsea beat Nottingham Forest 3-3 in a keenly contested encounter. And Kylian Mbappe garnered mixed response from PSG fans after he confirmed his exit from the club ahead of impending Real Madrid transfer. The French forward took to social media to announce his departure from PSG and confirmed that he will be playing his last home game at the Parc des Princes on Sunday evening against Toulouse. After his announcement, the Parisians let the emotions flow under his post. While some hailed his contributions to the club, others took a dig at him for his failure to land the Champions League trophy in Paris, despite spending 7 years at the club. And Malaysia's Premier Football League kicked off under the shadow of heightened security after a series of attacks against players shocked the country and forced the cancellation of the season opener.
Hundreds of fans turned out on Saturday for the Perm Kedda match, some holding up banners in support of attacked players. Police numbers were increased around the stadium and officers were armed with pistols. The game ended without incident, with Kedda winning 1-0 after a minute goal from striker Mohamed Safiq Ahmad. And that's it on Sports News. Now back to you, Anne.
Thank you. Now to other stories. It's a day of joy for one lucky worker who was pulled out of the rubble of a collapsed building in South Africa 5 days after the incident happened. Rescuers were able to make contact with the man and then gave him water after hearing someone inside the rubble. Western Cape Premier Ellen Wind also today said the rescue of the 33-year-old tiller was a miracle that they had been waiting for. So far, 14 people have died in the building collapse that happened on Monday, while 39 others have been unaccounted for. There were 81 people in that building doing construction work before it collapsed. At least 200 people have been killed after heavy rains triggered floods in northern Afghanistan. The disaster also left some 138 people injured in 3 provinces there. According to the International Organization for Migration, IOM, nearly 2,000 homes have been damaged in the widespread floods. While IOM says that it expects the death toll to rise, the agency is also providing emergency aid on the ground to those affected by the deadly disaster. As Israel steps up attacks in Gaza, the nation's authorities have ordered thousands more in Rafah residents to evacuate the city as it claims to have had face-to-face battles with Hamas. More than 1 million displaced people are reported to be sheltering in the southern Gaza city, around where Israel Defense Forces have been intensifying operations. According to the United Nations, more than 80,000 people have fled Rafah since Monday after Israel warned people to evacuate ahead of a planned major offensive. President Joe Biden had warned that the U.S. will stop supplying some weapons if Israel launches a major ground operation in Rafah. However, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that his country will stand alone and fight with fingernails if the U.S. holds shipment of weapons. And the main news again. Amid the deepening political crisis in Rivers State, the Chief of Staff to Governor Siminalayi Fubara, Edison Ehie, today opened up on what he said is the root cause of dispute, just as former Commissioner of Works George Kelly Alabo gave reasons for quitting the governor's cabinet. And the Duke and Sussex, Prince Harry, has hailed Nigerian soldiers who lost their lives in military operations, described them as brave souls. As the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle joined WTO Director General Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala at a Women in Leadership Dialogue in Abuja. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu.